Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a Season Pass tank that isn't awful, and we are, of course, looking at the Tier 8 Astron Rex, the American medium that is a autoloader, and this is a 5-shot autoloader that is really good in my opinion, and actually one of my favourites that has come out in a long time, probably one of the best ones we've seen in such a long time on the Season Pass tanks, and of course one of the best premiums that Wargaming have released as a brand new premium in a long time as well. So we're getting like the triple whammy here, and I'm really happy to see this vehicle enter the game. Now it is a tank that is probably quite well known if you've been paying attention on World of Tanks PC, because it's been in the game for quite a while, at least from what I can remember. But either way, it's a tank that I've been really enjoying playing. It is a tank that is basically really well suited to my gameplay style. I like having a fairly aggressive tank, good view range, as well as being able to output a lot of damage at the same time. We're having some really good times trying to aim at people with our teammates surrounding us, and of course the lovely artillery that have been recently buffed. If you've watched some of my videos recently, you will have seen my opinion on the new artillery, and you'll also have seen me play artillery for quite a while. And now we do know that we are spotted by artillery now, because it now highlights it, or at least it does sometimes when you're in the game. Not all of the time, because a good artillery player will not actually look at you until they're 100% ready to fire, and that's kind of how people get away from it. And essentially that's the best thing to do. It is what you should be doing. But either way, what have we got in the Astron Rex? Well, it is a tank that does 320 average damage per shell. It's also able to have 5 shells in the magazine, which means your total damage is 1600 damage in one entire clip, and allows you to do things like this, focusing on some of the other vehicles in the game. And yeah, we're able to come away with a decent amount of damage caused, as well as having got a decent amount of assistance. And that's really what you want when you're playing these types of vehicles, is to get both the assistance and also the damage potential that these tanks offer, because a lot of the time when you're reloading in an autoloader you can feel pretty useless, and yes, you would be useless if you didn't have good view range. But with this tank in particular, what you can do is you can actually spot for your team, and as such you can get quite a lot of assistance damage. As you're seeing here, we're able to find a lot of the opponents that are out in the open. And of course, because of the artillery health buff that was 100% needed, 100%, definitely agree with the fact that they buffed the health of everything. But either way, what they did is they buffed the health of the M53 so that we can take more of their health when they get spotted. Lovely. Either way, we'll take it. Now, at this point in the game, you know, it's a fairly... we're going to win. There's no real reason why we'd lose at this point, unless we all started YOLOing across a field. And yeah, we're hopefully not going to be doing that. Now, there's an E50 that's being a little bit of a pain and holding back the majority of our team. And as he's holding them back, they're all getting farmed, because why would you just sit in the wall? Why wouldn't you just sit in front of an E50 that's just farming your hit points? Either way, it's our job to actually try and remove this guy from his position that's, I guess, working quite well. We're trying to just pre-aim. Obviously, that was a terrible shot by me, but, you know, sometimes you've got to take them, because sometimes they do actually hit. And yeah, either way, we're going for the C50. We want to get him out of the game. I'm being a little bit more careful with my shells here. Not entirely sure about the kind of lag that I'm receiving. Maybe I'm getting some. I don't know why. Got so angry with that shell. Maybe it was just angry with myself for missing. Either way, we do have the E50 here, and he is yet again now spotting us. I believe it's him that spotted us as opposed to anyone else. It could have potentially been the charity. I don't know if maybe he caught a glimpse of us somewhere. But either way, we've done 5,000 combined damage, which is nice in a tier 8 premium medium tank that is supposedly, like, you know, fairly good. And I definitely agree with the fact that the Astron Rex is a good tank. It's one of those where I felt like I can perform in any type of matchup, and those are the tanks that you want. The tanks that doesn't really matter what tier you're in, what matchup you're in. and where you can still dominate regardless. Now at this point we're just going after damage now. Can we hit the 50? We do, but we don't manage to pen, which is disappointing to say the least, and it's just a case of trying to hunt him down before the Batcher AP on our team manages to get to him. Unfortunately, the Batcher AP has a lot of hit points and is probably going to take out the 50 before we end up the game, but with 6,000 combined damage, I'm very, very happy with the result either way. And of course, being a premium tank with 50% bonus silver earn, it's really, really nice to add on a decent chunk of silver onto my account, because we are running exceptionally low now, having bought a ton of tier 10 vehicles with my silver. I think we're at like 2 million now, which is the lowest my account has been in probably about a year at this point. I think we've been sat at like 30 million for a long time, but either way, really, really good result, and I'm really, really happy with it. But let's jump into the next one to showcase something else about the Astron Rex that you might not have noticed in that. The next map we have is of course Erlenberg, and this is one of the maps that you're probably quite familiar with if you've ever played World of Tanks console for an extended period of time. It's been in the game since probably the inception of console, and it's a map that has been removed from rotation multiple times because the spawns are typically one side grabs one side of the map, the other side grab the other side of the map, and then it's basically anyone that tries to move through the middle of the map ends up getting taken out. And unlike on the PC version that actually have an opportunity to go through the middle, this is really open in pretty much all regards. And remember, we don't have anywhere near as good camo on console to be able to get away with moving through the center either. So it's definitely a case of you move through the center, you get spotted, you get taken out, and then your game is over. Similarly, what we do here is play pretty aggressively. Now I'm going after the Tornvang. I want to get some damage on things like the T-77 here, who's out in the open. Of course we do manage to pen, and I'm trying to get another shell here. We go for the Tornvang. He pens the cupola of the vehicle, which I was kind of triggered about since it didn't look like he really aimed a whole lot. But either way, we picked up, what, nearly 1,700 combined damage, up to 2,000 now, and making it up to 2,400 combined damage within the first minute and a half of the game. So really, really nice start to the game, and if we can continue having results like that, then of course it's going to be a good game. The key thing is that you do have to keep this sort of stuff up, and that's really where I think the Astron Rex can be a bit let down, is that the DPM of the thing isn't necessarily awful, but it definitely is no kind of medium vehicle. Now we use the IS-6's weak point there to be able to hit one into the top of the turret. The IS-6's roof is absolutely useless, so we don't mind hitting it. So now it's just a case of kind of waiting for damage to come to us, and if we can, getting some damage against tanks like the Tornvang or the IS-6 or anyone that kind of really pokes out and causes a problem for our team. And the good thing I feel like with the Astron Rex over some of the other vehicles is that the reload isn't insanely long. The intricate reload is fairly long, but it doesn't necessarily mean a lot, because a lot of the times you may only have to fire 2 shells, which is not awful. Well, it's not ideal, but because the reload is fairly short, you don't mind reloading when you've only fired 2 shells, or maybe you've fired just 1 shell, and you know in 26 seconds or roughly that you're going to be able to relocate to another position where maybe you need those shells, then that's fine. Of course, that's all what autoloaders and getting better at playing autoloaders is all about. It's usually about positioning and making sure that when you are fully reloaded, you can fire, and when you think that you're going to need some shells, that you have them in your tank. So the T-49 on the enemy team is, of course, moving across the field. We're kind of reversing, trying to get out of the way. Of course, he manages to hit us, because why wouldn't you? We go for the final shell on him, take him out of the game. Goodbye, Yukibu 3MA25. He can go back to the garage, and of course he's going to. So at this point, we've had what, like 4,000 combined damage, 4,500, which is a good result. You know, you're going to definitely earn some silver. You're definitely going to come away probably in the top 5 at this point, pretty much guaranteed. You know, most games that will probably get you top in a tier 8 game if you just stayed on that. But of course, with the amount of alpha damage that this can kick out in a few shells, you can quickly go past this 3k mark that we're at right now in terms of actual damage, and all we need to do is just find some more health to farm. And that's what I've been finding with the Astron Rex, is that it kind of has everything. You have the mobility to get to opponents, you've also got the damage to kick out against a lot of opponents that you'll face, and you've also just got like the gun accuracy. It's very good, and it's just a very, very solid performer. And of course in this game, picking up 5.1 combined damage, which is pretty good, and coming top, 1600 base experience, 2 enemies destroyed, and yeah, a really, really nice game to have in this tank. Of course, picking up 50,000 silver with absolutely no silver boost, and we fired quite a lot of premium, which is something that you don't have to do in the Astron. So yeah, you don't really need to lose as much silver as I did, but I'm kind of doing some challenges at the moment with kind of a video idea where we're trying to actually use more premium ammo than usual to see if it makes a difference in the win rate since the date that I started. Either way, hopefully that's given you an indication as to what I believe the Astron Rex is really like in the game. It's definitely a solid performer. Probably the top players will make the use of this tank the most. A new player will probably struggle quite a bit with this tank because it relies upon knowing how to use autoloaders and also how to spot effectively when you are reloading at the same time. So there's a little bit of complexity to the tank. It's not super complex, you know, it's a typical medium tank that has an autoloader and not a particularly long autoloader either. But it's definitely not a casual player, maybe top tank or like most overpowered tank. And so yeah, a really, really good addition. I am super stoked that this is free as part of the or not free, but you have to pay for the ultimate season pass, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion, since it's allowed me to play a tank that I really enjoyed, and it didn't cost me a ton of money. In fact, it didn't cost me anything because I made the silver or the gold last season to pay for this tank, even considering that it is 6,000 gold. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please hit the like button. And of course, make sure that you have a look at the artillery changes and my view on some of the most broken, and yes, it's not actually the T92 now that is the most broken American artillery. It's actually down at tier 6 with the M44. So I really wish you guys have a look at that, and I hope you join me back in the next video coming soon, and it will be the new tier 10. Goodbye.